I could put you in the brig for what you've done, but I won't do it.
Talking Dicks Comedy Podcast. We're the spin-off podcast from the web series The Two Dicks. Check it out on YouTube and somewhere else. I'm Al Ducharme, Studio City, California. And that right there is Al Romas in, I don't know where he is, Coco Cay. And today we have a very special guest. Al, who is our special guest?
Yes, today we're going to continue in our series of white men who are middle-aged and funny. And we got an old buddy of mine who literally is an old buddy of mine. I've known him since elementary school in Wantagh, New York. And let's welcome him now, comedian John Consoli.
Hello, Al and Al. Jay.
Hey, John, welcome.
Hey, thanks. Finally. This is it's nice to be here with you guys. After a lot of begging and pleading, and
it works. See,
it does.
But yeah, I was just in the intro there saying how we knew each other. We've known each other since elementary school.
1973, Al.
Would that be the year?
Before that. 73 was, yes, I photographic memory. 73 was our sixth grade year, so I guess we probably met 1970.
Oh my God. Yeah, and then I moved out of there. My parents moved. I didn't move. My parents moved me out
moved
of
you 6
Wantagh
miles.
Yeah, which when you're 12 is
6 miles.
Fucking 1,000 miles. I don't have a car.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know how to go anywhere on a bike other than a mile. I don't know where Wantagh is, for God's sake.
Sure.
I've lost everything. And then many years pass, and during that time, though, you had a lot of interesting life experiences. After high school, you joined the Marines. Tell us a little bit about your stint in the Marines.
And thank you for your service, by the way.
It was
both of you. I didn't serve, and I'm having a hard time with that.
Al was in the Navy, so let's not get carried away.
Oh, Jesus. Really? You guys had to get somewhere.
I love that. I love that.
You needed a way to get somewhere.
Thanks for the ride, Al.
Okay.
You were the Uber. Okay. They were the Uber of the military.
Exactly. Except for they showed up. Yeah. They did show up. They didn't.
Yeah.
We never got canceled.
Those were the guys I was stepping on my way to the mess to have lunch. They were on the floor fucking vomiting. America's greatest, but
I cannot deny that.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Cannot deny that. We're conserving energy.
Yeah. But you were what, 17 when you joined
17. Yeah. Dropped out of high school about halfway through the senior year and joined the Marine Corps. You could do it back then. You didn't need believe it or not, you didn't need a high school diploma to be a Marine at the time. So did that. Went down to Paris Island, did the whole boot camp thing, and then wound up ultimately going back to Paris Island as a drill instructor.
Wow.
Was,
and what your age at that point? You were, I mean, I think you were the youngest drill instructor. How does that happen? And what age are you when you're a drill instructor for these guys?
Well, the last time I checked, which has been a while, for a while I know I was the youngest drill instructor in the modern history of the Marine Corps. And modern is like, World War II on. Before that, you could be like 11 and show up with a pot in your head and you're good to go, right? But what happened is that just things kind of lined up for me, right? And I was in pretty good shape because, high school athlete. So went down there, didn't have any problem with the physical part of it, was able to blend right in with the mental requirements and attitude, and wound up getting meritoriously promoted a bunch of times, made sergeant with just a little bit over 2 years in the Marine Corps, and then was nominated to be Marine of the Month and then Marine of the Quarter, Marine of the Year. And the prize for that whole thing was, they went, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, I want to go back to Paris Island and be a drill instructor." So
holy smokes.
Wow.
Yeah. So you had leadership skills and qualities right out of the gate, and they noticed that. They picked up on that.
Either that, or it might have had something to do with an extremely bad temper And the demeanor, the drill instructor demeanor.
Let's get this
was
guy
it,
yelling at people.
Exactly.
This guy might be good.
Exactly. Just point him at something that, needs to be yelled at. So.
That's hysterical.
What's funny is years later, we John and I were in a gig in what the hell was that? Cocoa Beach, and one of his old recruits came to the show. And now this guy is, he's a retired cop and from Orlando, I think. And he, he's a big guy. And so anyway, John's on stage doing this thing, and the guy leans over to me. He goes, points at John. He goes, that guy still scares the shit out of me. I was like, wow. Yeah.
My ex-wife says the same. Ex-wife says the same thing to the kids.
Wow. All right. So Paris
So
Island. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're out of the Marines around what age then? What would you say you get out at?
Yeah, so I get out. I was like, 20. You know what? I did 6 years. So
okay.
I was, call it 17 plus 6. We put on my ciphering hat.
Right.
I'm 22, 23 years old, and returned back to Long Island with absolutely no skills that are worth anything in the civilian world, right?
Right, exactly.
you
Put
can,
that on your resume.
Yeah, you can scream at people out here, but they don't necessarily respond, or you
kind of blend in.
So I got a warehouse job out on the east end of Long Island for a wiring cable company called Windtronics. Oof, and there was no looking back. So anyway, I wound up.
Now, is that still connected to who you're with in today and your whole career? Was that the early version of it?
Yeah, it put me in the industry, and it also put me in sales. The guy that owned the company that I worked for took a liking to me and gave me an inside sales job out of the warehouse, and then ultimately gave me a briefcase and put me on the road. So
did you yell at him?
What's that? Screamed at him.
Did you?
You know what?
Get him on the road.
You know what? The truth
That's how he got
is
those sales.
Well, the reason this guy took a liking to me is he was he was a nut and was constantly screaming and yelling and throwing shit. And I just thought that was normal. I'm, 2 months out of the Marine Corps, and other people are quitting and leaving for lunch and not coming back and telling me what a psycho he was. I'm like, seems like a pretty nice guy to me. So I didn't know you're supposed to throw things. You weren't supposed to throw things at people. So
now, but you're on the road at this point. You're doing the sales. You're doing the road.
Yep.
Now, does comedy ever? Because you were a funny kid in school. I remember it was pretty much me and you. We were the only two funny kids. The rest of them were just.
The rest of them.
You knew they were going to jail, and you could see it the future for a lot of these.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
You got to talk about that.
Montauk, Long Island in the 70s. You could see it. It was pretty clear the destination of, and we were funny at least.
I'm pretty sure we can't use them. Well, I don't know that we should use names because who knows how it could come back on us. But there was one kid in our class, like you knew he was going to prison in 6th grade.
Brian Ackerman.
Really? Wow, use his name.
Oh, I think he's dead.
There's no way.
I think he's dead.
There's no way.
Okay.
There's no way he's still alive. No way he's still alive.
No.
This kid,
we look at
grade.
You can look at our 6th grade picture and go, that kid is going to jail. It's just very obvious.
Yeah. So for me, comedy was I always wanted to do it. Always did. And it just, the things, I didn't know how to do it. And I didn't know that the magic of this is nobody knows how to do it. Right? You just show up and start doing it.
Especially in those days, there was no class or there was no, internet to look anything up. It was just,
comedy clubs,
I guess walking to a club. That was it.
Yeah.
Did you go to Chuckles? Was Chuckles and Mineola?
No, for me, it was the brokerage at that time in Belmore. And I remember going in and seeing Eddie Murphy and Bob Nelson, Jackie Martling, Klaus.
I don't know how John and I have talked about. I don't know how you didn't see me. I mean, it's almost impossible. I was at Governor's and those clubs. I mean, every other week, and the odds of you not bumping into me in the show seem impossible. But
you know what? I'll be glad that we probably wouldn't be friends now because I was the worst type of heckler, the suppressed comedian who I would go to the club with material. you know,
Right.
and wait for the right time to jump up and say something that I thought was hysterical.
This is how you get stage time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, is this how it's done? I guess so.
Yeah.
But so during the whole sales thing, I mean, I know you have a family, you have that, so, but is that in your head at all? Like, oh, I want to be a comedian. Maybe I'll try it someday, or is it just, it's not even a thought really? You enjoy it, but you're not thinking, someday, maybe 10 years, I'll do this.
No, you know what? I never really thought about getting on stage. I was happy to be the funniest guy at the barbecue, or, you know, the guy that people goes, you should be a comedian. You're funnier than Carlin. And I would, yes, I am. Yes, I'm funnier than Carlin.
I wish a lot of guys would take that advice. You know, there's too many comedians who really just should be the funniest guy at the barbecue. You know,
just stop there.
They don't need to be in clubs. Exactly.
And the one thing though, that for my sales career though, I always enjoyed presentations and speaking and be in front of a crowd. And that's why I think when I finally did get on stage, which was at the brokerage, did an open mic for my 50th birthday. Right. I said, you know what, if I'm ever going to do this, now's the time to do it. And I went down and did an open mic, and I was really comfortable on stage. And, you know, went up there and ate it for 5 minutes, and walked off thinking that was awesome. I want to do that again.
Oh, see, and, a lot of people, but according to Al, not enough, will say, that's it. I'm not doing this ever again. But if you want to do it again, you have the urge to do it again. That means, you know, you got the bug.
You know what it was, Al? It's kind of like, I knew it went terribly, horribly awry, right? And I was just self-aware, but I also knew I believed I could do better. Like, all right, I know what I fucked up. I gotta, you know, I can't go up there and tell a 4-minute and 45-second joke and with a 15-second punchline that goes nowhere. You know, it was wordy to say the least.
Now, was Gary Smith still the owner at the time, or was it the new owners, Jimmy?
No, it was the new owners. Gary was still around, but it was the new owners, and you know, and then you just get hooked, right? Just started doing mics, and then I actually took a comedy, something I know you guys have talked about, and I know exactly where Al Romas stands on the comedy school, but I went to Gotham Comedy School in New York City, which probably set me back a year, maybe 2.
Well,
I'm not going to shit on him because I'm working for them in a couple of weeks.
John had sent me clips from the brokerage early on. I didn't talk to John in, you know, God, I mean, 30 years or something. And then
I didn't need you, Al.
Reached out and he was like, I know. Then he reached out. He was like, hey, can you look at some clips? And, but I remember telling you, I go, you know, these jokes are no good, but you're so good on stage that you've already beat half half of it. You have the stage presence. So just, if you get some jokes, you're going to skip, you know, you'll be skipping a couple of years. And, you know, that's what you did. The next time, you know, a year later, you had jokes, and then you had the stage presence, and then you were off and running. And then we were doing gigs in Florida left and right.
Like a year in, Al was kind enough to take me on the road and under his wing. We did a bunch of stuff in Florida and continue to do so, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, no, it was great because, you know, at the time you can't get 5 minutes or 10 minutes on Long Island. So those Florida gigs, I was giving John the feature spot. So you're doing 30, you know, out of the gate. And I mean, that kind of growth, you can't get that. You know, that would take a couple other years that you were able to bypass just doing feature spots, you know, in Florida.
Oh yeah.
So it worked out for both of us.
Yeah, it was great. And plus, you know, the hang is what it's all about. And
that's it.
My perspective is we enjoyed each other's company and perhaps some wine and cigars along the way.
Wine and cigars. Al Romas, really?
Imagine that. I always laughed because John would we'd land. I would take him to Davidoff, and then within 20 minutes he spent more than he's going to make for the week just in cigars.
That's a candy store if you're into cigars.
Not to mention it. I'm paying my own air, so I was already in the hole. When the wheels hit the ground, I'm already in the hole.
It really was for the hang. You weren't exaggerating.
No, man.
he really skipped a lot of time, though. You know what I mean? When
Sure.
you think about if you were on Long Island just doing 5 minutes, 7 minutes, 10 minutes,
Oh,
or those
geez.
shit bar gigs.
Yeah,
Take forever.
no
And then instead you can do 30, 3 or 4 shows, 5 shows in a club, for the most part.
Mhm.
I mean, you're just going to move fast, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's what he did. And, you know, he took it seriously. He always had jokes, and he always, you know, he always gave a shit about it. So that's how he was able to move up within 9 years. I mean, you know, the last time I worked with him, I was like, you know, fuck, I don't need this. This guy's, you know, it's too funny. Who wants this shit? I'm in the back going, really? You know, I gotta follow this shit.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
This isn't fun anymore. It's
Who
not
brought
fun.
this guy?
So you've been able
But-
to travel a little bit doing the
Exactly.
stand-up, but also your job, you travel quite a bit as well. Is that so?
Yeah. So I've been all over the place. So I'm in the IT data center industry. So you know, just my career trajectory has followed that. You know, data center is just boom all over the place. So I've been
Mhm.
all over Europe, all over Asia Pac, yeah, back and forth to London probably 30 or 40 times. Just really fortunate to be all over the place.
Again, you don't have to
So
carry
you,
this time he doesn't have to carry a rifle or a sidearm. You just
I don't have
Right.
to, but it
And this,
doesn't stop me.
Sir,
and
that's
you
not
actually
going
got
to
to
overhead.
enjoy. You actually got to enjoy COVID. COVID for you was and not such a bad thing, right?
They were like,
Stay
yeah,
home,
open-
work, and no travel.
They were talking about open it back up. I was like, no, nobody wants. This is fine. This is good. I like it here. It's
And
nice.
then
to
you
be-
enjoyed
And
the
you're gonna be
travel, but it
traveling.
was overkill. You're a little burnt out from it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I was right. It was too much. It was I
Mhm.
was just going, too hard for too long, and maybe getting a few years older, Al. So
Oh,
it
well.
was
I'm with
it
you.
was it
Mhm.
was nice to and what it's the good thing is that I pretty much control where I go and when I go. So was able to do a couple of things, line up my business travel. It would have me someplace where I could do comedy for the weekend. So I was able to take a lot of road stuff, doing that.
That's the
And
best of
then,
both.
yes. And then I've also learned, just about, you can get to Napa Valley from just about everywhere in the US if you plan properly. So
Yes, yes.
you're like, where you going, Consoli? Nashville via Napa.
Now you guys were out here a couple of years
Nice.
ago, and I was supposed to meet up with you, but I had to take a gig I couldn't refuse, and I heard all about it, how great it was, and how I missed out. But let us know when you're coming up there
Yeah.
again. I can make it happen. Or
Well,
try to.
when-
Yeah,
if
maybe.
Al ever gets if Romas ever gets off that boat,
Oh, that's right. Aren't you there until 2023?
It's starting to feel that way. I got to be honest. I'm 2
It's like-
months, whatever it is, but I'm looking at 3 months, no, I think it's 4 months, little less than 4 months to go. But yeah, it's
It's kind of like 4 years in the Navy, right?
oh geez, if the people on the bot if they weren't on the Botany Bay for that long, Al.
I don't
prison.
even know what that is.
It's a prison ship joke. Holy shit! I hope your listeners get it.
Oh, wow. I don't think they will. Got to be honest.
I was with you on the prison.
miss
thing.
it,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
that.
well,
I,
Look it up.
Al
Google
had
it.
no idea what that joke was.
The
I-
people out there
look,
know.
I was gonna go. I was leaning towards slave, but yeah, prison. I mean,
Well,
captive. I
well,
got the
they
gist
love-
of it.
They love the Botany Bay bit at Gotham Comedy School. So I wrote it there with Jim Mendrinos.
Oh,
wow.
another name
Jim
comes out.
Mandrinos.
Jimmy was able to
Yes.
pay his rent for a couple of years doing that Gotham.
Jim
gig.
was he was the
God.
instructor.
See,
He was the instructor of the course that I took, and boy
He
did he
just-
hate me. We're friends now, but oh, he hated me.
but this is what my thing is about comedy school. The guy is paying his rent by teaching comedy school. Why isn't he paying his rent by being a comedian? This is the problem with the comedy school and the teaching is what personally, this is my problem with it. You got a guy who's not making it, so he's teaching. Well, what the fuck? Why do I want to learn from you? I want to learn from somebody who's successful, and it doesn't have to be in a comedy school. You can just watch video and clips and
Some people are better
podcasts.
teachers than actors or performers.
Yeah.
and whatnot.
What's that other thing they say?
Don't buy
Those that can't do teach.
There you go.
I guess. All right.
And that's not a shot at Mendrinos. Mendrinos is a great guy. Funny guy, nice guy. Not
Yeah.
shit.
No. I've seen him a
No,
few
not-
times do the job.
Right. I'm not saying personally him. I'm just saying teachers in general for comedy. It's
I get it.
a little strange when you think about it. You're getting taught by someone who's not really making it.
Right.
Doesn't make sense.
Kind of like that.
But
Kind of like the whole sex counselor thing. I never understood that either. Right.
I wouldn't
that-
never dealt with a sex counselor.
Please go on.
Why would a guy like you have to, Al? But
That's right. That's right.
you don't need no stinking.
Well, what do you
counselor.
mean? So they're not the sex
Well, but-
counselor has sex issues, or
No, I just don't understand why someone would choose to counsel about that. It just seems strange, doesn't it?
It's like a priest counseling marriage with when people
Yes.
have marriage problems. Same principle.
Yes.
right?
Right.
Well, it's
How
all
it-
the shrinks too, right? Aren't they all in therapy? All the shrinks go to shrinks.
All the shrinks have shrinks. They have to.
Do they
It's
really?
like mandatory.
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
It's like so it's all fucked. And then I think other than dentists, they're the highest suicide
Shrinks are
shrinks.
right.
Yeah.
More than comics.
More than comics. Imagine that. Yeah, dentists. Remember Bob Zaney? Any dentists here? And then nobody see.
And then there's
Shout out
comics.
Zaney.
Comics sequestered on a cruise ship is up there in the top 5, isn't it?
Listen,
What?
I got 4 months. Leave me alone.
I know.
Jesus
I
Christ.
know.
I'm gonna
Your
get
bank
through
account
this.
has a big grin on it.
I'm gonna get through this goddamn thing. I have one more show tonight, and then I'm off for the week.
I know. How are the
So,
calluses?
yes.
How are the calluses? Are they okay? Just checking.
The calluses and the cigar burns on my fingers are they're fine. Thank
Oh,
you.
you got to alternate hands.
I'm doing all the tricks, laying.
You got to be ambidextrous.
Hand, the whole
You know,
thing. I'm doing it
have you-
all. I'm doing it
Have
all.
you gone? Have you gone shower cap yet, Al?
I have not gone shower. I'm saving that for August. So that's
It's a special. It's a
in the
special treat.
future. Exactly. Now, tell us a little.
That's
bit
not.
about,
That's not a hard code to crack. Shower cap. Yeah. All right.
right,
Continue.
John. Tell us a little bit about your book. You don't get to wear that. What does it mean? The title. What's the book about? Where'd you get the inspiration? Tell us all about it.
Well, I left out a significant gap before the quit high school and join the Marine Corps part of my life. So when I was about 13 years old, my family, I had no vote in this. My family entered the Federal Witness Protection Program, and literally
As
black
they do.
as you
Yes.
black as you do. 13th. Some people, the Jews have bar mitzvah. I happen to be Italian. We go witness protection for a couple of years. Makes you a man.
Yeah.
So so anyway, we got swept
Bernie.
up, got
Bernie,
relocated.
get Jim on the line. I got a live one.
Got swept up and relocated to another part of the country from New York. They planted us in Arizona, and the way that my dad sold this whole thing to my mom was by promising that he was going to go on the straight and narrow, and you don't have to do the math to figure out why we were going in witness protection. And we were only there for about a week before my mother found out that my father had relocated a couple of his mistresses with us. So
Aha.
didn't go over well.
There's a great story in there if you want to tell it quickly. The in the car, your family's in the car on the way down. You're following the FBI and take it from there.
FBI SUV in front of us, one behind us, and my father had a Cadillac limousine at the time, stretch limousine, and this time he's driving it, and that's the way that we went on the lam in a white Cadillac limousine.
Inconspicuous.
Inconspicuous as possible. And back in the day, if back in the 70s, it was during the whole CB radio thing, right? So there's a CB radio, believe it or not, you got a limo with a CB radio in it. And my mom's playing on the CB radio and screwing around. And we're going through New Mexico, just out of Little Rock, New Mexico, like the final leg of the trip. And my mother's dicking around on the radio and notices that the lady that she's talking to appears to be in the vehicle right next to us, and also recognizes that lady as my father's primary girlfriend. So as luck would have it, luck and timing, we wound up on Interstate 10 in New Mexico, right next to my dad's girlfriend. And
That's great.
talked his way out of it.
Did he?
Talked his
Wow.
way out of it, Al, with silver tongued devil.
That's wow.
Yeah. So anyway, we
Amazing.
yeah. So my mother and my sister and myself returned to New York many years later, working for that company I told you guys about before, and moved up in the organization. And they wound up opening an office and a factory in Tucson, Arizona. So I go back to Tucson, Arizona, and because we were a New York company moving to town, it makes the papers. They put a thing, my pictures in there, John Consoli, vice president of blah, 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 blah. And they, ribbon cutting and the mayor and all that horse shit. And the next day I'm sitting in my office and I hear thunder in the parking lot. And I look out and it's a Hell's Angels pulling into the parking lot. And I figure, oh shit, something's going on here. And getting off one of those Harleys is a guy that looks exactly like my dad. And that's because it was my dad who had stuck around in Tucson and joined the Hells Angels, became a Hells Angel. So
of course he did. Of course.
When is this?
When
does this get the green light for a full feature?
Yeah, you know what, Al?
Exactly.
I've been trying, man, but it's all, the whole story is in the book, including, I don't want to give it away, but the title of the book is You Don't Get to Wear That. It's on Amazon. It's been on for a couple of years. The forward for the book is written by Al Romas. Thank you for doing that, Al. And it would be too much of a reveal to explain what the title means.
Right. And I didn't know these stories at all when we started working together. And then John and I would do the show. We'd have a glass of wine or a cocktail, have a cigar, and then he would just start telling me, and I'm like, what the are you at? What? These are real? And he's like, oh yeah. I go, you got to write a book. And then I go, you got to do a one-man show. And I'm throwing it out there as you do, because he's a comic and he's not going to do any of this shit. And then this former Marine, a year later or something, he's like, I got a book and I got a one-man show. I'm like, what?
Wow. And then you said, you got to take me to Napa. So he's very suggestible.
That's right.
Holy shit.
Yes.
Very true. Very true. Yeah, you know what though? Well, when I asked Al to help me with comedy, and one of the things he said to me, he says, listen, it'd be really nice if you would do what I tell you. So I thought that was a part of the program. Like, okay, all new comics have to write a book and do a one-man show. Ignorance is great.
Yeah. Yeah, and you actually did it. And but the book is great. I recommend people check it out. You Don't Get to Wear That by John Consoli on Amazon. It's a really great story.
I'm already thinking it's
growing. Yeah,
you got to shop it around. I don't know if you've tried or whatever, but it gets into the right hands. If you want it to be, it could definitely be based on, true events or something like that. That's phenomenal.
I would love to do that. So if you have any tips.
I'm just, I'm trying to get on the ships.
That's like you should be on Joe Rogan, or you should be on the Tonight Show.
You should be on the Tonight Show.
You should get your own sitcom. You guys are funnier than anything out there. Yeah, been hearing that for 30 years.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
That how it's done?
Let me make a call.
Yeah. So get on that, Consoli. Get that thing developed into an HBO series, would you please?
Alex, it has taken me just shy of 2 years to get on this podcast.
well, next week we have Tim Dillon, so we do.
So Tim and I started doing comedy together, and until he broke, was and still is a good friend. Although I go a drunken night to Romas, I go, I'm gonna call Dillon and have him do your podcast. He goes, okay. So I haven't heard back, Al, but I figured you knew that before I reached out.
Yeah, because Al told me
I've been on the other end of those phone calls.
I don't know. I don't know if that's gonna be possible now. He's kind of like
my kid's free because I actually started doing comedy when I was 49, and I wanted to do it before my 50th birthday, and my kids bug out because Tim Dillon did like a surprise roast for me on my 50th, and Dylan ripped everybody in the place a new asshole. So they're very proud.
So he had those skills even back then.
Oh, Al, yeah. We really did that open mic that I talked about before that at Brokerage. Tim was on it. Like we started the first night and just destroyed. Just unbelievable. He was just always that. His ability to just riff on stuff is, that's pretty rare, and Tim is always at it.
Because I only really noticed him maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. I started following him, and then now Al sends me these clips of him just ripping CEOs of companies and billionaires apart. They hire him, and he comes in and just levels Bitcoin.
Oh, the Bitcoin conference was great.
Fantastic.
My God! I'm like, wow, this guy's. got the goods.
just shitting on it and shitting on the Winklevoss twins. And
Well, the way that, you know,
was
when he
great.
really broke and became popular in New York was his day job was he was a guide on a tour bus, and he would just make shit up.
Wow.
Like, you know, you'd have a crowd of people like from Denmark up there, and he's telling them, you know, ladies and gentlemen, the bell means that the human sacrifices are about to begin. And, you know, just,
Right.
and it got to the point where Caroline's actually rented a bus and sold tickets for Tim's New York tour. They would do the show. The show was just
Really?
him doing his thing on a tour bus. Yeah.
And how long has he been doing
Wow.
it? Same thing, like 10 years?
10 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, man, we
Yeah,
would
but
talk about it. And he'd go, hey, he had a 5-year plan. He goes, you know, he's a former mortgage broker guy, and
Mhm.
you know, that whole thing blew up, subprime mortgages. And when I met him, intelligent guy, we took a liking to each other. My wife Sue really liked him, and he goes, hey man, I'm giving this thing 5 years. So I'm already. He knew that Long Island was dead like 6 months in, and started going to the city. Then he started getting stage time in the city, and about 3 or 4 years in, he goes, I'm going to LA. And he's the guy that went, and it just, you know, it clicked for him.
And it's great. He's very funny and all, but a lot of these guys, and no knock on like, but you just wonder because they're all draws now and they're selling tickets left and right. But if it was 10 years ago, pre-podcast times, do you know what I mean? Like, does Tim Dillon and Mark Norman and people like this sell tickets the way they are based on being a comedian? Because now it's based on podcasts.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're famous from their podcast, and their fans go to see them do stand-up.
Yep.
They're not going to see stand-up comedians. They're going to see
Right.
podcast hosts. So you wonder, you know, it's a different day, a different age, obviously. But I wonder if it's 10 years previous, you know, does Tim Dillon, does Mark Norman, these guys, are they selling these tickets? Is this, or is it just, they're just comics in the city, you know, normal struggling comics? You know what I mean? It's a different time where the podcast is really the selling point,
Right.
you know, and they're funny, but how much of the audience is there to see them as a stand-up as opposed to a podcast fan?
Or
Well,
personality.
that's the question
Right.
now, isn't it? For bookers or for clubs, it's not what are your credits, is it what's your podcast?
Hmm.
You know,
It's
seems like-
becoming that. Yeah. If you know, if you can go on a podcast and say, I'm going to be at, you know, wherever Vasani's next
Mhm.
Wednesday night and Thursday night
right.
and sell it out, Eric's not going to question
Mhm.
how's your stand-up.
No, he's
No,
a
we don't-
businessman.
They
He
don't
just
give a shit.
asses and
Right.
seats. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't need that. Al.
Mhm.
We have the hippo. We don't
That's
need
right.
a
Yes, I
podcast.
think he retired. There was a
that's-
DJ there at Vasani's, and John and I, by the way, will be at Vasani's in Port Charlotte in November, and so we haven't worked together in probably 2 years, 3 years,
3 years,
maybe. I don't
yeah.
know how.
That's
2
if
years.
they don't.
So
That's if they don't extend your ship contract and they have first
they can
refusal.
extend anything they want. I'm walking off. I'm jumping off. I'm
Swim.
whatever it takes. I will be out of here in October. It doesn't
Okay.
matter what
John,
they want to do.
John,
Yes.
I'll see you because I'll see you there at Vasani's. I'll be filling
Thanks,
in.
Al.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
You can close it.
But I got the I
Thanks.
had gotten the offer, and then I sent it to John. I used to always just say, hey, you want to do that? But I didn't think he was going to take it. But I just thought, you know, I should offer it to him just as a goof, and then he'll say no, and then I'll just, you know, whoever. But I offered it to him a couple of weeks ago. I said, hey, any interest? And he said, yeah, I'll do it. So it's like, yeah, great, man. So I'm looking forward. It's always it's a Wednesday through Saturday, and you know, we do the shows, and then we enjoy some cigar camaraderie in
Mhm.
town with the boys at the Havana Tranquility, among other places. So
Yeah,
yeah, it'll
Dr.
be a
Joe.
good time.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe and the boys.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Love
Hey,
that place.
Yep.
Let's
Looking
go back
forward
a
to it.
little bit here for a sec. I think it was 2.5 years ago, we were shooting an episode of The Two Dicks, and we had you you were cast as Captain Crunch,
Yes, Horatio Crunch.
and your work schedule changed at the last moment, and you had to hightail it out of
Yep.
Tampa. And we replaced you with Danny Bevins, who did a bang up job, but we were really looking forward to it. So right now, can we have a commitment from you to be in a future episode of The Two Dicks?
Absolutely, positively. It would be.
This is
be an
being
honor.
recorded, by the way.
It would be an honor, Al. Yes, I commit. I'd love to do it. Just have to,
Nice.
we have to think up a character now. I mean,
Oh, that would
Evans
be
is
easy.
Captain
We'll
Crunch.
get it. We'll get it. We'll get. Too bad Al couldn't come down in November, and then
Yeah.
we're in Port Charlotte for multiple days. We got Joe's car. We've got John in town. We've got Havana Tranquility. We could write. We had a
I
script.
could drive you guys around
a
to
year
your
and a half
gigs and
ago.
light your cigars for you. Is that what you're
Nice.
saying?
It would not be a bad idea. We need
Why not?
a driver. It's it's not a bad idea.
Let me look at the
But,
sketch. Maybe
you know,
maybe that's something we
something to
should
throw
work
out
on.
there.
Yeah, we should work on that now. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
we'll go over
I would
the
love
dates
that.
again.
Yeah.
That'll be wonderful.
All right. Perfect. Well, John, thank you very much for being a guest with us. Glad to finally get you on. Enjoyed it. And I will see you in November, sir.
Wow, wasn't that a
In
song?
November.
Yes.
Yeah, John. Thanks so much
Actually,
for
I
coming
love it
on,
there.
buddy.
Guys,
Yeah.
thanks so much. Al, it was great. Talk to you guys soon.
Talk to you
All right,
soon. The Talking Dicks became friends at a very young age, and the rest is history.
I'm losing my mind.
Patreon.com/The2Dicks, which is named after our web series. This is the Talking Dicks Comedy Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Done.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
We'll fix it in post, you son of a bitch.
Okay, sure.
All right. Subscribe. Mary.
Patreon.com/the2dicks.
If you shoot me, you won't see a cent of that money. Why?
I think it ends on that. That's beautiful.